Hello, humans. Today's episode of Firestorm Reviews is inspired by Dr. Lockdown's top 10 best and worst figures of the year videos. So a big shout out to him for inspiring this video, and we love you for being another Australian YouTuber for Firestorm to watch. Alright, let's get into the video.
Studio Series. One of the best lines to come out for Transformers, in my opinion. It's given some of the most accurate figures to date of our favourite robots who beat the scrap out of each other for fun. We have some amazing ones like Studio Series, Bumblebee movie, concept art, Megatron, Dark of the Moon Shockwave, Rise of the Beast Battle Trap, Dark of the Moon Sideswipe, and all of them. But along with this line has come a couple of duds. Their problems could be the way that they were designed, or their vehicle mode, transformation, or several other factors. Why don't you come with me and have a look at what I consider the top 10 worst Studio Series figures that I own.
Operation disclaimer. Firestorm has no claim that these are the worst figures in the world. You may say some of his worst figures are your favorite. So please, if you disagree, please leave them in the comments below. And this is just his video of how he describes them as worst to best. Now let's get on to number 10.
Alright, here we have number 10, and it's Transformers 07 Megatron. I don't remember his number off the top of my head, so please forgive me. And yeah, this figure, it's a good figure, but my one came missing his mace weapon, and its transformation is pretty underwhelming. Let me show you what it transforms into. And here we have him in his jet mode. Nothing ever wants to stay tabbed in. The transformation is very weak and loose. And yeah, one small press basically makes everything on tab. So yeah, he definitely will rank here on this section of the list. I gotta say, him being most likely based off, in my opinion, one of the best Megatron designs from the Studio Series, the Revenge of the Fallen Megatron, probably didn't help him very much. I'm assuming he's based off that, but I'm not 100% sure. So yeah, 07 Megatron, definitely not one of the worst, but definitely, in my opinion, one of the bad figures of the line. I say if he was given a bit more time in the oven to cook, he probably could have come out a bit better, and maybe been bumped up to leader class to probably give him a bit more budget. But yeah, he ranks number 10 on the list. Now let's move on to number 9. And now number 9 is Transformers Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime. Now, number 9, as Starscream said before, is Revenge of the Fallen Optimus Prime. And personally, this was one of my favorite figures when the line first came out. But I lost all love for the figure with because this is actually not my first copy of the figure. It's my third one. And it's also broken. Every single one I've had has broken on me at some point, and it's always been the head. Yes, the head is currently is super glued on there. It's very weak, so it can't pose. And the swords here are probably, in my opinion, my favorite part of the accessory. Yeah, so this guy, as soon as I get the 2001 Megatron, the Megatron Optimus Prime, he's definitely no longer going to be representing the Autobots on my shelf. And the fact you can't combine him with Jetfire is a negative too. But for the meantime, he'll make a great Megatron to go up against this guy. Optimus Prime go against this guy. Stab. Alright, let's move on to the next one.
Number 8 of the list is Long Haul.
Studio Series Long Haul, in my opinion, is the weakest of the Constructicons and one of the worst figures in my opinion. For one, his backpack here barely stays tabbed in. His leg joints are weak on my copy from falling back quite a bit. And this is just a personal gripe. He's pretty hard to pose in certain poses because of his thing. Besides that, yeah, he's not a good fit. His dump truck mode is amazing. Unlike some people I've met who are upset that he can't actually be a dump truck and dumps things, I'm completely fine with that. But besides all that, yeah, this figure is definitely smooth. And I feel like it could have used a little bit more paint in certain areas. And yeah. And my one also broke over time from transformations. I can't remember which parts broke off, but I remember some part of him broke off. Oh yeah. The tabs in the one of the tabs on the foot here broke off. So yeah. And for some reason, my one's feet keep folding in whenever I'm just having standing on shelves. It doesn't happen when I touch him, but it's whenever he's up on a shelf, I somehow see his feet tab his some folded back in. Alright, let's move on to the next one.
Number 7 is Coronation Starscream.
Coronation Starscream, everybody. Earthrise 2. This is a terrible figure in my opinion. Can't even stand up on his own half the time with his gear on. He's just the Earthrise figure again, except for some accessories being cape, chair, crown, and shoulder panels. So yeah, this is basically just an Earthrise figure, but worse. But the one good thing I gotta say, it gave us a chair, gave us the crown to give the actual good Starscreams. There you go. There, a Starscream actually deserving of this crown. Anyway, yeah, Coronation Studio Series G1 Starscream is, yeah, definitely a terrible mold. And I thought I escaped the Earthrise Starscream mold when I got rid of my Earthrise Starscream. Nope, it came back to haunt me. Well, at least this time it has posable fingers. And I swear, every Studio Series figure or Transform figure I'm getting now has posable fingers. It's starting to creep me out. The hands starting to become posable in everything nowadays. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Number 6 will be Studio Series 86 Cup. Let's roll. Alright, here we have Cup. And in my opinion, he was the worst out of the first wave of Studio Series for the 86 line. And yes, that even beats out Jazz, who I've heard is probably one of the more hated figures of the line. Yeah, my biggest complaint is my one's limbs, whenever I transform, always pop off, especially in the legs. My one, I don't hate the character. I loved him in the G1 movie. Yes, I've seen it, so you don't have to worry about it if I'm not a true Transformers fan. And my favorite part of him's gotta be this little Energon goodie, if the camera would focus on it. Camera focus. Yeah, his Energon goodie here. Which you see me using a couple of my other YouTube shorts. And now that I have an Energon cylinder, these two will probably be used a bit more for like Energon things. Yeah, I gotta say, his vehicle mode is decently good, but it's really annoying to get him into it. And occasionally I forget to do his feet out and they get stuck. And his arm things here, the occasion always quite a lot fall off or break. And I just feel like his arms are a bit too down. And yeah, let's move on to number 5. Alright, everybody. Let's move on to the number 5 of the list, which is the Bumblebee movie Soundwave. Hey, Ironhide! Oi, that's mine! Get back here! Right, here is Studio Series Bumblebee movie Soundwave. And my first complaint was that his gun broke on me while I was using it in a video. I will admit that was my problem, but it started showing stress lines, but I did not see it. So yeah. My biggest... Okay, this guy looks amazing. Definitely is designed quite well. has a decent look and paint job and all that, but my biggest problem is his waist here. The skirt is just terrible. When I stick Ravage and his back comes undone, I'm not transferring him back because he's background there. And his shoulder cannon sometimes. His posability is quite bad too. And the arms too. And let me just show you one other complaint. Here is Soundwave's vehicle mode. Either a taser or pancake hovercraft. Or the Green Goblin Megatron attack combo. So yeah, this is pretty bad for his vehicle mode. Still doesn't beat, in my opinion, still definitely out of the league of Soundwave, who's in my opinion, the best Soundwave figure I own. I also will say, if this guy was similar like this, if Studio Series Soundwave was like this one here, I would love it way more than it does. Alright? So yeah. Besides that, let's move on to the next figure. Down here. Oh, never mind. Scorponok, Terrorize. Number 4. Revenge of the Fallen, Soundwave. We have Revenge of the Fallen, Soundwave. In my opinion, the worst Soundwave figure from the Studio Series line. If I had to rank every Soundwave figure from the line so far, from worst to best, it'll be Revenge of the Fallen Soundwave, Bumblebee movie Soundwave, and then the Dark of the Moon Soundwave figure. His only accessory was a stand here, which I like to occasionally use for like flying poses for my figures. For him, you just plug up the butt. And yeah, sometimes it just falls off easily. And it has another port for satellite mode. But that one's very weak. So yeah, this guy is probably, in my opinion, pretty bad. His painting's just all grey. My favourite thing to do with him, though, is this, to make it look like he has sword hands and fight sideswipe. But yeah, he's pretty bad and alright, and yeah. We'll definitely get into the figures that I absolutely hate and don't have many good things to talk about. The main reason I even picked most of these figures up is because I love the Studio Series line so much, and I want to complete the line. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Number 3, World War II Bumblebee. Now let's see. Alright, here we have Studio Series World War II Bumblebee. And in my opinion, this has got to be the worst Bumblebee figure made. Even more worse than Transformers Studio Series 1 Bumblebee. Not number 1 for like the movie, the first numbered and created for the line. Because that one just suffered from terrible QC issues. So yeah, this one's pretty bad. In my opinion, the best accessory from him is the hammer. You could like use it for a Solus Prime, or just as a regular hammer. And yeah, this guy can't set up very well. His gun's also pretty decent. Yeah. And yeah, he has a massive backpack here and a very weak. And yeah, if it was either this guy or Hot Rod who would be on the list, but this guy, in my opinion, is the worst out of the two of them. And his vehicle mode is pretty terrible. Let me show ya. And here is World War II Bumblebee's Jeep mode. Like, because of his hammer, his roof doesn't sit flush. A lot of his tabs continue to untap. And he suffers from a shitload of yellowing. And just a simple boop. And his wheels are untapped. Now he's a flying military car. Alright, let's move on to the next figure in the line. Number 2.
Sentinel Prime Motormaster Superior.
Can you re-say that again, dude?
Oh yeah, Sentinel Prime.
Next we have is Sentinel Prime, everyone's favorite traitor and Ironhide killer.
Am I ever gonna live that down?
Nope. So yeah, I have quite a lot of complaints with this figure here, hence why he's so high up on the list. For one, his sword here, I wish it was bigger, because remember, in the movie, that thing was massive of sorts. And my one continues to break in half quite a bit, and it looks a little bit like two short machetes, maybe? His legs are very weak. Occasionally they'll like untab and all that. His waist is this. His arms are probably the best ones. His backpack is including this part here. And which this really compromises his vehicle mode too. And I don't want to attempt transforming him. Because every time I try to transform him, parts of him always get stuck, and it really gets on my nerves. So yeah, this figure has really fallen into my bad books. I'm hoping if for the new Transformers 1 movie, they make a studio series figure for Sentinel Prime, it's better than this one, and I can replace him as my main Sentinel figure. Alright, let's move on to the next one before I go even more rage-filled on him.
Time to head off stage. That's for Ironhide Sentinel. Can I get some punches in? Sure thing. Yay! Help me!
Alright then. Before we move on to number 1, let's do some honorable mentions. Or, in this case, dishonorable mentions. Let's roll. Alright, the first honorable mention here goes to Studio Series Core Class 86 Ratchet. I don't really mind the Core Class Studio Series figures. So far, the only ones I've purchased are Tempertrax, Ravage, and Shockwave. But yeah, he is kind of not really interested. So let's move on to the next one. And here is Studio Series World War II Hot Rod. And he has the same complaints as World War II Bumblebee. The only thing he has above him is he's way better in vehicle mode. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. And here is Jetfire. One of the Studio series that I feel like was good in concept, but struggled to hit the landing. He's definitely an alright, but definitely, in my opinion, pretty bad and not good. So yeah, he could definitely use like some upgrades or something better. So yeah, and I just really hate these things. Alright, let's move on to the next two figures. Alright, the next figure on the list is Studio Series Cheetor, Rise of the Beast Cheetor. My only complaints with this figure are his staff, being that it's way too easy to fall apart. Yeah, and this part here just not having a place to go in robot mode. So yeah, he's a good figure. He's just the weakest, in my opinion, of the Maximals I own. Hopefully my bad luck with Rhinoxes don't continue when I find him. And here is, in my opinion, some of the worst figures who I decided didn't deserve to go on the list, because if I did put them on the list, I'll just be copying Dr. Lockdown's scripts word from word with these figures. These two are terrible figures. With the backpack, the terrible kibble placement. These guys could have been actual good figures if they respected the vehicle they, because they came from Jeep Mode Bumblebee's DNA, and that's one of the amazingest Studio Series figures of all time. Anyway, let's move on to number 1 now.
Right, before we continue on with the video, I'd just like for you to meet our newest member of Firestorm Reviews, his marketing team. Grimlock would like to say number 1 is car mode. Shatter. Shatter. Thank you, Wheeljack.
You're welcome. The worst Studio Series figure. Car mode Shatter. How could you fail a figure so badly, Hasbro? The line she came out with gave us like so many good ones. It gave us freaking Dark on the Moon Sideswipe, for Primus sakes. And this is the one you package alongside her. I've actually had to repair this with Blue Tack because her door thing broke off the day I got her. This pops off every time you transform her. Her face is terrible. Her arms also can't by saying all the armor is literally placed shittily around her. She's absolutely a terrible figure. Now I know why people do not really show her off at all and show off her jet mode, which is way better. I've actually kept her in car mode, which is the best mode about her. The car mode's actually the car mode's the only good part of it because it doesn't show off any of the shittiness of this road. And also her guns are also pretty good too. I would actually love to see these guns appear on another figure. And the backpack, she barely stands up. And yeah, she's quite terrible and definitely deserving of my number 1 spot of my list. So yeah, I'm not even going to bother trying to transform her for you because she's just shit as hell. Anyway, let's move on to the outro. So yeah, that was my figure review of my top 10 worst Studio Series figures. Ask me if you'd like to see top 10 best Studio Series figures. Can me Grimlock host that one? Grimlock, get out of here. Aww. So yeah, like my head of marketing said before, please subscribe to Firestorm. Don't forget to hit the like button as well, and check out my other contents in my other videos as well, because it really helps me. And tell me, who do you say is the worst Studio Series figure? Firestorm out.